Welcome to the Reflector Reflections podcast, where we journey through the kaleidoscope of human design, gene keys, astrology, metaphysics, all the things. In this special series, we're shining a spotlight on the inspiring voices of the human design community right here in the land down under. Together, we'll celebrate the incredible work they do while diving into how they experiment and navigate their unique design. Today, I am joined by the lovely Ashley, who is a quad left 6-2 generator with the left angle cross of dedication. Ashley is a soul frequency facilitator, energy intuitive, and weaves human design and energy mapping into her practice. Not only that, but I got to meet her last year at the first Australasian Human Design Conference, and she also was with us at the Mind Body Spirit just recently, and we got to hang out and have a good old gander and chat and swear lots and laugh, didn't we? So
Oh,
welcome.
we absolutely did. Thank you for having me.
So good that you're here. It just was such a I absolutely loved having your energy in my space. It was just so lovely to be supported by you and the others there.
Oh, it was amazing to be there and to be in aura with everyone, just trying to bring human design to everyone was there. I don't know, it was really uplifting and yeah, it really felt like purposeful. So thank you for having me on the stand. It was great fun.
It was. You know, I'm a big believer, and one of the reasons I started this is because I love hearing people's stories of how they discovered human design. So, if I may take you back, how did you find human design, or human design find you?
Human design definitely found me. So my friend has a podcast and she interviewed Kirsten Morrison. And she came, I was over there for dinner that night after she finished the podcast. She's like, oh my God, you have to hear about this thing called human design. I was like, oh, here we go. Another astrology thing. And so she ran me through it and I was just like, okay, this is a little bit more than I was expecting. There can't be this much that makes sense to my life in a single like sort of reading. And then obviously as you do, you go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. I'm going to put that somewhere safe and I absolutely forgot about it. And then yeah, and then I just got attacked by like my social feed, and every now and then human design would pop in, and I joked that I actively ran away from human design for like 2 years. Every time it had come up, I'd learn a bit more, and I go, "Oh, this is too real," and then just run away from it and hermit away again. But so I finally took the plunge after 2 years of running away and done a reader course. So I decided to go, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. It's about time I actually listen to life putting these little indicators in front of me and follow the breadcrumbs. So I went and done an online reader course, self-paced, and it took me, I don't know, about 6 months, most of which I already knew. I only really learned like maybe like 20% of filling the gap. So as per usual, I'd gone and done a deep dive on the internet and tried to learn everything I could about this, and then read up on the left angle cross and what that all meant, and generators and 6-2 profiles and the 4323 and what all of those placements meant for me. And I kind of just got to a point where it was like, okay, this means something meaningful to my life. Let's actually learn how to do this. And so I'm out the other end and really understanding the synergies between human design, gene keys, where astrology can be re-overlaid, where all of those play their part throughout the cycle of the year with the seasons, and how that all lines up with the gates of the G center. So I don't know, it's really helped me zoom out a lot, and view this modality as more than just a reading. Um, and it's a way to navigate life. But I don't know, sometimes I think we all get caught up in the I'm a generator, so I have to do this. But the more I learn to zoom out about it, and even to a certain point, put away the energy type for a moment and just go, well, my main channel is a 4323, and that's a projected channel. And my unconscious channel is the quintessential generator channel. So how do those two play a big part in my life, and what does that mean when I've got a split between them? And really look at the dynamics of how that is more than just I'm a 6-2 generator, so I must say yes with my sacral. It's, well, no, for a lot of my things, and especially when I talk about the 4323 and my sun placement, that's in my third house in astrology. So it's about communication. And one thing I've really learned a lot about is that communication needs to be invited. Otherwise, it's just not listened to, which is the main theme on that 4323. But it really hits home a lot more because it is in my third house. And so when I go to express myself, I've learned that while I might have this prompt to talk straight away, it's really best if I just shush and sit. And if it's meant to come out, the universe will present me with an opportunity to say it anyway. So that's just part of how I've stumbled into it and used it a little bit. I probably skipped ahead, but that's really how it formed in my life these past couple of years.
And I know because I've obviously been in hours of your space, so hours of your time and hours of your aura now. And that 4323, I'm very familiar with because my partner also has that. And I know that energy. And I think there are certain times when we would be doing something, you were like, oh, Annie, just do that. And I'm like, oh, and it was so good because that's what happens here in my home. It's just like, this is the structuring coming straight in. And
Hmm.
being that quad left, it was just like, I know many times you would sort of just, oh, just do this. And it was just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that. Thank you. It's so well received. Well, by me, it was so well
Yeah.
received because it's like, yeah, here you go. Like, I'm
No.
practical, I get it, but it was just like when you're in the energy of that channel, it's like because I'm so used to it being in my home space. So I love it. And I
Oh,
love
I
what you were
love
just
that.
sharing there before too about because I'm a really big advocate for this of going just because it says you're a generator doesn't always mean you're a generator. And in your
Hmm.
case, what you said is actual truth. Like your unconscious channel makes you a generator, but your conscious channel, which is the 4323, makes you a mental projector. So,
It does, yeah.
it's like,
Um, yeah, it's funny. I often joke with my friends because one of my best friends is a reflector, right? And so I spend a lot of time trying to decondition her with the whole forget the reflector. Look at the aspects of your chart. Just forget it. Like you love astrology and none of your astrology chart makes you feel like you're open and sensitive. So how about we just put the word reflector away and we just look at everything else in your chart? And she's like, oh yeah, well that really paints a different story. And I often feel sometimes like I was put on earth to talk about human design a little bit because when you look at my chart, I have a simple split between them. And my unconscious is the generator in my sun, and my conscious sun and earth is the 4323. So it's like the main themes of my life is this duality of not living a single energy type and having to manage how those two are bridged from a conscious and an unconscious and those two very polarizing type of channels. So it certainly helps me see things through a different lens, I feel.
I love that. I love it when we can talk about, exploring more of the nuance of it, hey, and just going and just
Hmm.
instead of just going, oh, you're a reflector type, you're a generator type. It's kind of cool. There is an aura to that, but it's also how much there's so much more to us, and I guess that's where the gene keys really comes in a different way because the
Hmm.
gene keys doesn't have any type. You're not a type in that. people
Correct.
people have to uncouple from that a little bit when they do. I know I did. I'm like, hang on a second. I just got used to the fact that I was a reflector type and I've spent a couple of years doing it and now I've got to but what about this? And it's just like it's not anywhere in it. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a relief for me when I stumbled across the Gene Keys. Especially the way the Gene Keys likes to describe. It gives you more nuance on a gate. It also makes the gate sound a lot friendlier. Um, I must say, with the descriptions, and there's just a poeticism about them that I just can't escape. And we had this conversation at the Mind Body Spirit, where I interchange whether I use human design or gene keys as the introduction to a person, depending on what kind of person they are. If they're an astro person or if they're a detail orientated person, that's how I'll introduce them. And then it might sound and look like gene keys, but I'm working them through the mechanics of human design, or it might be human design 101, but I'm actually taking them through the Venus sequence. So I love to just weave them in together to serve a purpose, to the best way it's going to be received of someone, rather than trying to go human design all the way and someone just going, it's too much detail and I just can't gel with it.
I love that. I think I said to you I was going to steal that and I'd forgotten about it. Now I'm saying to you again, I'm going to steal that. Such a brilliant,
Absolutely.
brilliant way. I mean, I probably do it, but it's just like, oh yeah, again,
Yeah.
here's your structuring just coming in and going, there's a better way of doing it, Annie. I'm like, thank you. Um, Take us back though. We were just mentioning there before, and we are going to speak about this generator. A lot of times when I speak to people and it pulls up, and you probably experience that at the festival, just a generator. How did that feel for you finding out that? What was your emotional attachment or dissociation with discovering your type?
Oh, yeah, I was so disappointed that I was a generator. Because at that point all I'd been introduced to was a type and a profile, and I thought, there's so many of us. Like, what am I here to offer the world if I'm just a 6-2 generator? Like, how many 6-2 generators are there? Um, and so it was kind of that partially helped me run away from it for so long, going, well, there's nothing of value apart from commonality for me here. Um, and it was kind of like I'd already realized that I was a chameleon in certain situations. So it was kind of like I don't need this as another feather in the cap, so to speak. I can talk cross bridges with everyone. I don't need to be a 6-2 generator on top of that. But the more I started to understand the nuance and especially the tie-in with the Kabbalah, that was a really big drawstring for me to really dive in and go, okay. Because I love the elements on Kabbalah where you've got the medium point, which is a balance of masculine and feminine, and then the two outers of the masculine and the feminine, and go, well, how does that play a part? And my friend at the time was really, really into yoga. And then so she was working with the tree of life and she goes, oh, look at this. And I was just like, if you flip that upside down, it looks like the human design body graph. Like, that can't be a coincidence. And then down the rabbit hole I went. And once that happened and I understood the nuance, I was so thrilled to have the chart that I have. But I often feel everyone stops at type and profile and just gets disappointed. And well, I was speaking with a person at the stand about being a projector, and he was just so fed up with being a projector. And I just felt so bad because, like, my middle son's a projector, um, and he's just loving life. And I just thought, I think this guy missed the memo. You just need to look a little bit deeper, and maybe you might fall in love with it when you understand the nuances.
Yeah, and maybe not, the whole labels can be, when you read those labels, hey, to
Yeah,
respond and not self-frustration and especially for you, and I guess that, segues us into that of having that sacral channel of yours that makes you a generator is unconscious. And so often
yeah,
the generator type's straight away told, oh, well, just get into your gut, just get into your yes, no. But it's very different when it's an unconscious channel. Would you like to share a bit about that journey for you?
yeah. So it's really only in the past 6 months that I've really been able to tap into that unconscious channel because for so long, for me, my body was the enemy and I needed to get out of it as much as possible. And for me, that's why I relied so much on the 4323 and being able to intellectualize anything and over analyze and not be able to integrate everything or anything really, because it was, I can run in circles forever on this thought path. Um, but once I started stepping into who I am and accepting myself for what I am, that channel just opened me up. And I've been able, especially like it's the quintessential generator channel, right? Do it for the love of doing it and have no expectations. Like, once I started doing that, I kind of made this little mantra of leave enough space for the universe to surprise you. And so now it's kind of just, if I like it, then I'll acknowledge that that's something that's lit me up. I won't go chase it. I won't do anything. I'll just sit back and go, I really like that. Can you provide me with some more opportunities to experience or explore that? And a classic example is the mind, body, spirit. So when that came up and was originally advertised, I was just like, oh my God, I want to go to this. But I don't want to go as a pedestrian. I want to work this, but I have no one that's working it. I was like, okay, if I'm meant to work it, something's going to come up. And 4 days later, an email came through from you and Amber saying, if you want to volunteer, shoot an email through. And I did. And I was just like, well, there we go. There's another little breadcrumb. There's another opportunity for me to listen to this channel and provide enough space for it to magnetize something in.
Wow, I didn't know that. That gives me
Yeah.
goosies. It's so cool. Because it
Yeah.
is. It's
But
not that it's
yeah,
not there for you. It is. And it's a bit of trust, isn't it? It's a bit of like massaging or strengthening any muscle of being able to go, well, I've got to tap into the body. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I love that because it's such a heady process up here between the ajna and the,
Hmm.
up here. And
Yeah.
whereas the other channel is all the way down here, which is for the listeners at home, that's what we're talking about in the personality channel for Ashley is from her ajna to her throat, whereas the other one, the unconscious, is from her root to a sacral. No, it's from her sacral to your G. Pardon me.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but no, when you couple that with a simple split on the 8 or the 20, it's really easy to stay out of your body.
Yeah.
It's so easy because you don't have any pressure going to that channel, right? But you've got a lot of pressure coming down through the ajna, especially with an open head. Um, it kind of just takes a lot of dominance over the generated channel, especially like I know Ra's famous line is generators are the slaves, right? Which doesn't help anyone feel comfortable being a generator, but it does play into the fact that if you work in corporate like I do, as well as the energy work that I do, it's really easy for you to be that workhorse for someone else. If you're so good at not connecting with it, it's so easy for someone else to take advantage. And until you really start to lean into it and learn to bridge the split and accept the split and acknowledge that, well, with that split, it's okay for me to not feel like that all the time when I'm in the presence of an eighth gate. That's a harmonic and not a dissonant. It's okay for me to feel like that, and that's actually how I'm supposed to feel. It's just nice to feel like a single definition every now and then, and having that perspective shift on the split was part of that process to actually leaning into that generated gate.
Mm. It's really interesting listening to you share this because it's kind of like giving me some memories of these first couple of years of discovering being a reflector. And
Mm.
a lot of the things that I was reading was, oh, it's such a generator world and generators everywhere. And there was a part of me that was kind of fearful. It's probably a bit extreme, but I was like, oh, that's right, I'm going to get conditioned by the sacral and generators. And so I kind of, in a way, for a little bit of time, maybe pushed generators back. Like I'm just realizing that now of
Mm.
just having this moment of just going, no, stay away. Just let me be my unsacral being and let me feel how this feels for me. Even though they're all around me. It made no sense. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the problem with emotions. Nothing's rational here. But over the last couple of years, I've started to really deeply connect with the generator types, actually all types, but a lot more of the generator types, and really start to love on how what you were just saying there before, the workhorse and overworked and how burnt out you can be, and
Mm.
just kind of appreciate so much more of that to go, I just want to come in and give you a big hug, or allow you to kind of like generate this warmth glow that we need instead of feeling like you have to do these things all the time. So there was this big shift. I know that was a long-winded way of me of saying over the course of years, but it was much more of an appreciation for
Mm.
um, for all beings generally, but a lot for the generator types. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Mm.
that. Did you find that in those first formative years of working with human design, you've seen openness as the enemy?
Um, Not really, and
Oh,
really.
wow.
So there's a double there.
Mm.
The openness I had shocked me because it made me fearful that I was going to be always conditioned by everybody else. So there was
Mm.
a little bit of that. Oh, again, what I was
Yeah.
saying there before about, oh my God, but also at the same time, I really wanted to appreciate it and really lean into it because a part of me has always been that way. So I think when we kind of like get out of the head and we kind of go, well, I've always been really, I like to be alone a lot. I actually really enjoy my own company,
Mm.
um, and things like that. And there's a reason for that. It's because I'm kind of like rinsing out or I'm just in my own space. But I guess accepting that just because somebody's a different type to me and has these energies, they don't have to impression me.
Mm.
That I think that was the learning. But yeah, I wasn't so much scared or frightful of it. It was more, I have to be very careful now of understanding myself more. And it was a
Mm.
big thing for me to go, where do I end and another begins? So it more
Yeah.
about began the journey of Annie. that's what I love about my human design journey, because it allowed me to kind of go, this is who you are, sweetheart, you
Oh,
know?
I love that.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
It's a bit of a
You
love
know,
story, really.
yeah, right. Oh, I love the romanticism about it. It's yeah, it's almost like storybook like. It's so great.
That's a 56 in me. I can't help it. The more I accept it, the more it comes in. Do you find that as well? Like this, and I know that we don't want to label human design, but the more we kind of accept this, the more it just kind of like opens us up. Even if we've got definition, it just opens us up to bring in more abundance, bring in more love, bring in more like things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The more, and I know we talk about a 7 year decondition cycle, but um, the more for me to really accept my design, I had to throw away all the labels, as I was saying earlier. For me to just really absorb it and really embody it, I had to get rid of the word generator. I just threw it in the trash, and for a while I was telling people, "No, I'm a projectorator," um, because most of my when you meet me, you would think if you're having a conversation that most of my outward expression is a lot of projector traits, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're really a generator." I'm like, "Well, yeah, some of it, like this much." So I was just like, "No, I'm a projectorator," and both of them play an equal part. But at some point, I ended up just throwing it in the bin. Um, and just going, you know what, I'm going to actually accept the way each of these aspects of my chart is just playing it out, um, and I'm just going to observe, and I'm going to accept with an open heart. And as part of that process, I actually fell more in love with my open and undefined centers than my defined centers. And now I see them as like the backbone of my chart. That's where everything else forms. While I have this two defined channels on the conscious and the unconscious, all of the magic happens in the undefined and open centers. And I talk to a lot of people about this, and they're like, as if like that's where your skills are in your definition. I'm like, no, no, that's how we do the thing. But think about how many times I've had to learn to get out of my head, put all of the stuff in a book, or have all of these different methods to manage my open head, or have the 101 ways that I manage outward pressure from my undefined root with four different gate 38 placements. So when I look at all of that, I'm just like, I wouldn't trade any of that for the world, because I've learned so much about myself in navigating these undefined and open centers. It just so happens that I've got these two channels that also play a part. But if I was to say what's the most powerful thing about my chart, it's those undefined and open centers.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I really do. Because again, I don't have definitions, so I've had
Yeah,
to, and my, echoing what you were saying, mine are my completely open centers, which is my G, and my completely open head too. I just go, they're my portals of power.
yeah,
They're not really power, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just what I
yeah.
call them.
Well,
They're my
it's where the
portals of
wisdom
power.
comes in, right?
Yeah, yeah. How was that? We talk a lot about profile, and some of us, I know for me, I've identified a lot with my profile sometimes, and sometimes I don't. But the more I kind of like lean into that, the more I accept a lot of my spiciness as well. How was that sixth line for you? I've got so much love for the six lines because of the journey that they take through their life.
Mm.
How was that in
Yeah,
discovering?
rough. I often joke that I'm on my third lifetime in this lifetime, because I crammed so much into the first, like, before 30. Um, and it's funny because, like, I look at my early years and, like, straight out of school, qualified in the trade, straight out of school, started my own business, and then through the global financial crisis, that business went. So I went into sales. So I went from being in a trade to doing sales, just cause. So that's the second line coming out, right? And then after that, it was kind of like I've been married, then divorced, and then transition, and then all of these things. It's like I've jammed. I joke that I've jammed like so much life in. I'm so greedy. So now I get to live three lives just cause. But that's how it feels as a six line, and I'm on my way up onto the roof, and I feel like my life's just started in honesty, and really accepting that I'm gonna be a natural at things, and that's okay. And unconsciously I'm going to want to teach people, and that's okay too. And a very classic example of this is when I was at the conference last year at the table. I had half the table coming to me to teach them how to read the chart or do the chart or walk through the Venus sequence, and I'm just like, or the Pearl sequence. We were starting at unconscious Mars. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this, and this, and that's what that means. And if you go here and you read this, it'll probably make more sense to you like that. And they're like, oh, so then by the second day, had everyone coming from all the different tables wanting to ask me questions about it, and I was just like, okay, maybe the profiles are right. maybe maybe I got to stop fighting this role model thing because it's kind of working out for me.
Well, you've also got, I think when I had a quick look before, you've got like 10 second lines in your chart. So it's like
Yeah,
you're you're a natural.
yeah,
You're a natural. Yeah.
yeah. And look, a lot of that is imposter syndrome comes with that a lot, right? With the second line,
Yeah.
especially when your chart's just top heavy with them. Um, because I can naturally pick up things to a certain point in my life, it's not, do I want to do that? Or would I be good at doing that? A lot of my perspective has changed to, do I care enough about that to get beyond my natural ability to pick things up quickly? Do I care enough to put in the work to really go into the detail? Because I can always get to a certain point and then I'll lose interest and move on. And from all the second lines I've ever talked to, that they're all very similar. They want to be alone. They want to look at all the things. They want to put things into practice, and then it's like, okay, well, we did that. Let's go do something else. And so for me now, I try and limit a lot of that time wastage. Um, I'm just in the part of my life now where mastery is really coming up to be a big theme for me. Um, and while I still like to do a lot of things that like my sacred life, if I feel like I want to do that, then I'll just put it out and see if I want to do that. But there is the long-term aspect of things. Do I care enough about that to try and get to mastery? And I feel like when we look at the profiles, there's always the healed and unhealed elements of a profile, as well as in a chart and in a gate and in a center. Um, and I feel like now I'm starting to move up to the equilibrium point. I wouldn't say it's completely healed, but I've moved a lot of the gunk out of the way so I can really start to embrace both of those profile lines, especially like with a 6-2 being the left angle, and learning that you're the bridge that people walk across to understanding. And in life, they don't tend to walk with you. And you need to accept that sometimes on that path, people are going to walk with you for a moment and then leave. And it's very rare that people tend to stick around for a very long time, at least in my experience. And I'm fortunate enough to have two very lovely people who have been around for a long time. Regardless of the left angle influence, they can't get rid of me, I say. So it's really been a big part of understanding my chart in the nuance, like deep in the nuance, that as a left angle cross and living it, that it's okay that people only need this part from you and then they move on. And you really need to just be happy for them while they're here and trust that they got what they needed to grow and continue to move on.
Yeah. And that takes a lot, that can knock you around a fair bit. I think
Oh yeah.
the upper trigrams, us here in the upper trigrams, it's a very different lift experience than the lower trigrams.
Hmm.
And I kind of like to talk about this a lot because it's no one's better than the other, but we need each other. And when you see it played out and you watch it and you're like, because we're kind of about the other, whereas the
Yeah.
lower trigrams are very much, they're internal. And we're kind of sometimes waiting for them. So I love what you just shared there, and especially as a sixth line, because the sixth line's kind of, you know, they're going through all this process, but at the end of the day, they're waiting. You're waiting until everything's been handed to you. And then you're like, well, what do you want me to do with this? I've just got to live it. And
Yeah.
so I love that expression, what you just shared there about, because that's how it feels for me too, of just going, well, they will take what they need from me and then they move on. And
Hmm.
it knocks your self-esteem around a little bit, doesn't it? It knocks your mental health around
Yeah.
at times, or has in the
Oh,
past, of just going, what's wrong with me? You know?
yeah. Especially when you got a loaded gate 38.
Yeah. And you're going to want to go fighting for things. Like you're literally going
Uh-huh.
to be like, I'm going to go into battle here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes when you feel probably wronged by, you're probably going to go into battle for that.
Uh-huh. Just anything really. Like, why did you leave?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
I
been a
know we can
process.
say it, but it's still it still it bites, hey. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we know it, you can intellectualize it, you can kind of process it, but sometimes it's
hmm
still, I know for me it still bites. It's still like, oh, you know.
No, it does. And I've come to learn that you've really just got to get to peace with loving someone while they're here and loving the moment. Um, because then it's obligation free. Then it's not stacked with, oh, well, if I be this kind of friend, then they're going to be here for a long time. It's kind of like, no, no, I'm going to be the friend I am now for the place we're in now. And if you choose to stick around, then that's amazing. But let's do this part of life together and we'll see where it goes.
Mm, I love you. No expectations. That's
Yeah.
what
And
I'm
that's
learning.
really hard, right?
Mm.
Especially as a generator where you just constantly learn to work, work, work. And to flip the script on that takes a long time to understand yourself enough to go, you know what, that's okay, but because I'm sure that they're traveling a path that I don't need to walk with them anymore.
I love your approach to the response. I just love it. It's so good. Again, it's all nuance, isn't it? It's just like there's not a
Yeah.
one size fits all. It's about how do people, how do we all kind of like journey through this? And you heard it.
hmm
You were at the festival. I've never met a reflector before. What's this? Well, I'm still a person. I still
Yeah.
have wants, needs, and desires and
hmm
reactions. And but yeah, it's very much I don't know. We get kind of labeled and put in little boxes sometimes, whereas there's so much
hmm
more what we said at the beginning of this. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like my one gripe. Well, it's not my one gripe, but it's one of my bigger gripes with human design, which is kind of like why I love the Gene Keys so much is the lack of labels. And I feel like that's probably like its biggest downside for human design is its tendency if you don't stick with it long enough. It does scare people off a lot when you put them into a box or give them this label. And one of the biggest reactions I have from people when I talk to them about human design before I started explaining it as a zoom in from astrology was, oh, great, something else to give me another box and another label. Like society doesn't put enough of that on me already. I
Mm.
don't need to learn about this if I'm going to get more. And I'm just like, oh, if we get past that, you're going to get to the magic. And they're like, yeah, but that just feels icky from the start.
You were saying there earlier that you've got a projector. One of your children is a projector.
Yeah,
Did
so my
oh.
family is just loaded. It's I've got I've got a manifestor daughter, I've got an emotional projector mother, I've got a emotional projector son, a manifesting generator son, I've got a reflector friend, I've got manifesting generator friends, projector friends, and it's funny because a lot of the people I talk to, it's like the energy types just tend to travel in packs a little bit. I don't really know too many other people who have such a varied array of energy types in their immediate family and then in their little satellite circle. So for me, I kind of get to live all of the dynamics out all the time. So it's kind of interesting because to me, like I've known reflectors for ages, and I'm like, yeah, they're just people too, just like you said. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're so rare. I'm like, they're just people, babe. You just need to like chill out.
Until you piss us off and you get your mirror self mirrored back.
Yeah, and if you don't like the mirror, then maybe you got to sit with yourself in silence long enough to figure it out. Like,
I love that. I'm the same. I've got all types around me, and I've been really lucky too. Um, but it has been different looking at past Annie to present Annie. The sense that my older girls are both generators. One's emotional, one's not. But
mhm,
how that overwhelmed for me as a 23, 25-year-old parent was during that era of just trying to do so much. And then
mm,
I see lovingly now how I'm parenting completely different as per design, but I watch other people try and parent, like they might be MGs or they might be Gens, trying to parent a projector like themselves. And there's a part of me that kind of wants to put my hand, I literally go, oh, just give them a break. But they don't know any better. So I guess
yeah,
it's always interesting how we navigate. There's no right or wrong. There's no shade, no shame, no
absolutely not.
judgment. But it is like, Ooh, they're not like you. They don't. Have
Oh,
you found that at
exactly.
all? Obviously, with a manifestor and a projector, and projectors in your life, it's whoa.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And learning to navigate like all three of them, as my oldest is a manifesting generator, but I found it easier to parent by design once I was in the nuance. The biggest example of this is probably with my mum and then raising me a generator like a manifester to then go, you can always get it. You just need to work harder. You just need to just go and make it happen. You just need to grind. And it was just this really go-get 'em attitude. And for so long, I was just out there making it happen. I'm just like, why am I so tired? And why do I always feel unfulfilled? And
Yeah, right.
because it was just never what lit me up. All driven out of obligation and be better, make yourself into something. And as all parents from the 80s try to instill in their children around, you can be whatever you want to be, and just go out and grab it by the horns. And um, I don't know. And when I look at how I parent my children now, it's very much just like asking my son for his two bobs and just go, hey, what do you think about this? What would you like to do around this? And give him those formal invitations to actually say something, because I've noticed that if nobody invites him, he just shrinks into the background and he'll just stay in his own little world. And being a middle child, he loves that as well, right? But um, for him especially, I make a point to go out and really invite him into something, because he tends to just like float off into the distance in his own little world unless he's invited in. Whereas my manifesting generator son will put himself in the middle of it always and take up all the space if you allow him to, which isn't a bad thing or a good thing. That's just his tendencies, right? So managing him in a different way to give everyone else enough of a say at the same time to then also get his sacral to be where it needs to be and feel fulfilled and be able to create enough space for his little opportunities to take hold, and then, well, allow my manifesting daughter to be a manifester, just in her own right there, and not try and snuff out that flame of those surge cycles when she goes into them, right? And at the moment, that's a lot in crafting. So she loves to color, draw, craft, clay, you name it, we do it. And it's kind of, when she gets into those cycles, it's just kind of like, okay, we're going to pull it all out and I'm going to put it there right in front of you and let you just do whatever you want and craft until your heart's content. And then when you start to get tired and sick of it, we'll put it away, and that's okay too. And removing the expectation and obligation for her to even finish an art project, just to do it while she's feeling lit up to do it, and it'll end up as it is. And more often than not, yeah, she'll come back to it and finish it in the next cycle, and then it'll be, oh, look at what I did. This is great. I'm glad I finally got it finished. And
I love that. I love just watching kids be kids. It's
yeah.
very, we can learn so much from them when we step out of the way. I feel
Hmm.
that. It's hard though sometimes to step out of the way as
Oh,
parents, isn't it? We like,
absolutely.
Jesus, back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Have you used that yet? I found myself
Yeah.
using it more and more
Hmm.
back when I was a kid, and I'm like, fuck, I'm officially old.
Yeah, no, I try not to say it just for that very reason. I just go, I don't like feeling like that. So we're going to try and
Yeah.
remove that from my vocabulary for at least another 12 years.
Uh, One of the things that I love in my journey, and most people I speak to, it's a healing journey, and
Mm.
there are certain points where we get into the labels, we get into it, we do, but the more we kind of like experience this, and again, this is where the 7 years is very interesting as it plays out, because we stop being first year psychology students. Forgive me, first
Yeah,
year psychology student, you know what I mean? And then we
I know
kind of
exactly what you
settle
mean.
into it. And so,
Hmm.
as we get more years under our belt, we kind of like relax a little bit and we kind of go,
Hmm.
oh, it is our own unique experience. But I still find myself taking myself back to little Annie, and looking at things that I've got to kind of collect in a way. It's like I go back and I sit with her and I go, it's okay. Like this is what was happening in this environment. Can you see it now? And just these little moments of just collecting all these little insights. And it's so healing. Do you do that a part of your practice as well? Or
Yeah, like I had to do a lot of inner child work.
mm,
And a big part of that was a lot of acceptance of my early upbringing, and while it wasn't horrible, there were still some challenges, and um, a lot of it was really being the person that was implied I needed to be in terms of like be the good child, don't do anything risky, don't do anything spontaneous, just fall in line, be the good child, be quiet, sit here, do that. Um, and it was very conditioned to not be spontaneous with things that brought me joy. So a large part of my process was really going, no, like we were allowed to want to do that, and it's okay that we didn't get to do that, but now we know better. And actually found myself going back and doing a lot of the things that I always wished I wanted to do as an adult, just to like fulfill that little part of me, and like buy the sparkly dress, or go and jump in a pond, or even putting on gumboots with my daughter and going and jumping in puddles, and just doing silly little things like that. And look, I found my children to be a lovely little window to help me with my inner child healing, and just go, hey, look, we can be silly, let's go do this.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's really helped to remove a lot of that unconscious blockage that typically we don't tend to want to relive, right?
Yeah. I love that. Well, we all embrace it. Just go and collect bits of ourselves and just bring them in, and we're
Yeah,
like, there we go. Can keep
done.
walking forward now in my sparkly dress and my
Uh-huh.
gumboots.
Absolutely. How else would you want to do it, right?
I know. Oh, this has been such an honor to sit and chat with you. Thank you so much. I knew always knew. I mean, when we caught up at the Mind Board, it was just like the swears were going. It was just so
Yeah,
natural to be
it was
around.
so good.
I'm a bit loosey goosey, as you know.
Yeah,
What you
same.
see is what you get. But share with us. I would really love to hear, if you don't mind sharing, like how are you weaving human design into your work, into this frequency work that you're doing? I'd love you to share.
Yeah, so a lot of what I do with even just the frequency stuff, but most of it's guided deconditioning with human design. I don't do one-on-one readings anymore. That's all done via report. I don't do introductory readings anymore. I found a lot of the people that were coming to me for human design were really intuitive people, and by the time we'd done a basic reading, they're like, "Yeah, but I knew all of that. I just didn't know the way that you said it." So I found over time that, oh, people that are coming to me for this stuff, they want to skip straight to the advanced stuff because they've already sat with themselves quietly long enough to figure this stuff out without human design, which most people do, right? They just don't understand. So now it's kind of like, okay, so you know about your human design, you've figured out the easy parts, you understand what the profile means, but how do we really navigate the 38 and the 39 in your undefined root? How are we going to navigate that in your life when it comes up in the wild? Let's step through that. Let's start understanding the nuances of where you are. Is it are we at the gift stage yet, or are we still down in the shadow of it a little bit? And what's the precursor for the shadow? Let's audit your life. Let's go through and understand where you're at for each of these centers and how they're showing up in your life today, and how we want to show up with those centers tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And let's build a bit of a plan around that to really step you through with a bit of support, because this stuff is scary, right? We all know that not everyone can walk through these shadow parts of self without a helping hand. So that's how I use human design there, as well as some gene keys elements with that guided deconditioning. Energy mapping is kind of where I use the body graph with frequency work. So understanding what's open, what's undefined, and what's defined. To then when I go in and use the frequency work to set that authentic expression on each of the centers, I can kind of understand where we're going to have to do a little bit more work, where something in case of sacral beings, if they do have a defined sacral, but they're feeling pretty burnt out about things, I'm going to have to light that back up. I'm going to have to get that spinning and clear all those blockages out. And even when we talk about like cord cutting, I can see as part of that process, I can understand what gates at play on that cord and why that energy keeps getting taken. For instance, I had a client the other week, and she had a cord coming off her side, and it was based around gate 38 as well, and that fighting for someone that wasn't there anymore. So it was around removing that cord out and setting a lot of frequency into to really heal that part of what no longer served her anymore. That's how I weave human design in, and then when we get deeper into the frequency work, there's some soul retrieval that happens, as well as setting in the frequency to really guide them through the next steps in their life and help ease that friction that we can find, that wants to teach us lessons. And when we set the right frequency in our centers, those lessons hold less friction and help us learn quicker, rather than continually beating our head against the wall and wondering why it doesn't work.
Oh, sounds even better. You mentioning it the second time that it did when we were standing there and you were telling me, and I was just like, this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
love all of it.
it's pretty mind blowing. When you start sitting down and think about like the stuff that you can do with it, and then just go, wow, that's like really really cool. But when it's your day to day, you kind of, the sparkle comes off a little bit, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I just need to take a moment to really just accept how great this is sometimes.
To remember your magnificent gifts in the world and how what we think is so, well, they always said that, didn't they? They always say that about what comes natural to you is your gift, one of your gifts to the world once you've gotten out of your own way. So we kind of forget that,
Absolutely.
of how natural it is. Like, oh, well, that's just how it is. And people are
Hmm.
like, how do you do that? I'm like, oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just do it.
I just do it.
Yeah, it
It's
just happens.
it's my natural ability.
Yeah, no, they don't like that very much, do they?
Yeah, don't say that. You sound like an arrogant prick, but you're just like,
Absolutely.
but it is my natural ability when you, you know what I
It
mean?
is. Like, I can own it, but I can also not be smug about it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, you can with me.
okay,
We
perfect. Love that.
can be a little smug sometimes. Why not?
Absolutely. As long as we're in good company, I think it's fine.
Well, I'm getting to spend more time with you in May at the
Absolutely.
conference again, which I'm really looking forward to. And thank you so much for gifting me your time to sit with me and have a
Oh,
chat and have a natter. And yeah,
well,
thought,
thank you so much for having me on. It's been so fun.
well, you're a beautiful gift, Ashley. Thank you so much again. And I look forward to sharing space with you again in May.
Oh, perfect. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Talon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.